Welcome to the Player Profiler Network. We got the man, the CEO, the Podfather on the deep end with the Fantasy Picasso, Johnny Tuma. Man, we're kind of like Ricky Bobby and I can't even remember who. Cal Naughton Jr. is his name in Talladega Nights. So that's kind of the dynamic duo I feel like we've got going on. But welcome to the show. It's almost NFL season, and we've got Hard Knocks on TV. What are you thinking of the Hard Knocks, Matt?
You made that Grace your bitch. So just to take you behind the scenes a little bit, we're getting you set up. As it turns out, for many shows, you were podcasting with your microphone only half plugged in. And we were troubleshooting. We were asking Gemini, why is he turning up the volume and nothing's happening? So I was like, you're too quiet, Johnny. Do you really think this is acceptable mic volume? And he's like, I've never noticed. And, but you have an ear for this. And I'm like, you're damn right I have an ear for this. You're too quiet. And he's like, I know this mic, it's not cooperating. I'm like, I don't think it's the mic. You have a beautiful mic. That's the same mic I have. Look at this. We have the same mic. See, it's the same mic. Big reveal. I've never taken the sheath off my mic before. I've been unsheathed. Now you can see because there's a lot of girth here,
Should I sheath it? I don't think we have time for me to experiment sheathing it today.
Only if you pop your peas. This is for popping with peas. This is a windscreen, so if they were outside, you need it. But also if you pop your peas, this protects the listener from my peas popping. And I don't think I would have noticed. I would have told you, certainly. Do you think if I heard a pea pop, I would have told you?
Dude, you are granular with this stuff, and that's why I have a high level of respect for you, man. You just have a voice for the radio, but it's not, that's my point. People think you just wake up with a voice for the radio. No, you got to dial that gain in. There's an air setting we were talking about before the show.
Yeah, there's Mike said I have never used the air setting. I'm like Eddie Van Halen. I just plug right into the mic. I don't use a lot of pedals. This is just what I sound like. The difference is, though, when I first started podcasting, I was much more sing-songy, and I had a much more high-pitched delivery and presentation. And over the years, hearing yourself back, you have to be willing to listen to yourself. It's embarrassing to listen to yourself, but you have to listen to yourself and try to improve. And so for many years, I kept listening to myself back and trying to improve. It's like Howard Stern. He sounds nothing like he used to sound like. He used to have an even more sing-songy, high-pitched voice than I had. But over time, you can drop the range of your voice down a little bit. I can still hear a little bit of echo because you are a rookie in many ways. You are very much a rookie setting up your mic. You didn't even plug it in all the way. You didn't fully understand how your amp worked. And then I realized you weren't even wearing earphones and you were like listening to me through the main speakers of your computer, and it was echoing back at me during the program, and you had to turn your volume down. Now I'm hearing more echo. It's very, very
Dude,
slight.
I don't think you're hearing echo. I think you're hearing my baby daughter wailing in the background. I'm going to tell.
No. I am a baby, but I heard a big baby. So that was what I heard. And so it's fun to kind of sit down with you and be like, how long have you been podcasting? And okay, let's go through a checklist. This is like mission control. Econ, check. Like thrusters, check. Boosters, go. We are go fly. That it's just one of those. Apollo 13. Just an incredible movie. Ed Harris in Apollo 13. One of the most underrated roles. I think he got nominated for an Oscar. Ed Harris, Apollo 13. One of the most underrated performances of all time. And so we finally, I think, got your mic dialed. We finally got your mic working properly, plugged in properly. It has full power. We dialed in the gain. You're a soft-spoken guy, so we need to get your gain up. We need to use the equipment to get you to sound as fulsome as possible. You're not the Eddie Van Halen of podcasting yet. You can get there, just like I wasn't when I first started. Just depends on how committed you want to be to it. It's like anything else. And so now I feel like we can have a good show, and we're sort of now on equal footing with our audio presentation, and we're live. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, X. Retweet us if you're on X. Like the show on YouTube. Like the show. Share it on Facebook. There's another rookie mistake that you made, though, which was when you are streaming a show, you should cold open. And then you run the bumper after you're cold open. So you should not set it. I'm turning this off right now. I'm removing it from your studio. You have a studio, and I'm removing it. I'm removing your intro. Should not be. No one wants to get an introduction. No one wants to get like a graphic to start the show. They want to kind of get an idea of what the show's about. They want to kind of get into it. They want to get engaged. They want to get hooked. Then you can hit them with like cool graphics. I'm a professional podcaster. This is a professional media that you're consuming right now. So what I like to do is I like to set the show up. I like to start with just a cold open.
Dude, cold open is tough, though. You got to have something like kind of loaded, right? You don't just open and then just stare at the camera. You got to be like, what's up?
What?
What's up?
Okay, so we haven't talked about this yet. This is, again, I'm just completely shredding you for your whole podcast setup, your whole podcast prep. And now just the first 10 seconds of the show I didn't love. Okay? So I wanted a cold open. I want to know what the show's about. I want to get excited about the show. And then I want to get the chills of that bumper. Like when you hear the horns. You see, if you watched Hard Knocks, they open with something happening. This time it was like an eagle landing, and it was like, and my daughter, she's 15. She turns to me, she goes, "It's a little on the nose, don't you think?" I was like, "Yeah, this whole show is starting off on the nose. I don't like this at all." And then the Liev Schreiber script was terrible. It was just cliche and not interesting. And then all the characters on the show are not interesting. All the players, the coaches, no one is that interesting. Maybe the running backs coach was the only person that did an interesting thing. He just like jiggled his self. He did a fun jiggle move. And that was like the redeeming quality of the entire show. I posted about it at @fantasy_mansion on Twitter X. I posted all about how much I was fired up for it. Posted a picture of Liev Schreiber from Wolverine. He's Sabretooth. He's the original Sabretooth with that, what I don't know how many of the Marvel Universe movies he was in, but he was like the original antagonist for Wolverine. So he's just a great actor. He's a great actor. He's great in everything he's in, but as a narrator, he's even better. He's the best narrator for me. And they squandered him. It was embarrassing. And I looked at my daughter. I was like, yeah, this is on the nose, and this whole episode is embarrassing. And so what I would have liked for you to do is, like, for example, if I was to do a cold open of this show, I'd be like, "This is the Deep End Podcast. I'm here with the Podfather. It's a special edition of this particular program because we just did a big rankings update on PlayerProfiler.com featuring the one and only Zay Flowers and many more coming at you." And then we run the bumper. Now I've got chills. Now I'm ready to get engaged instead of just hitting me in the face with the graphic before I even have an idea what the hell I'm doing here.
Dude, I just want to run the Bulls intro while you're talking too. Like, I'm just really about to just tank it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was about to do it while you were talking the whole time. I was just like, I was about to just mug you and be like, "We've got the Podfather." We'll see. Maybe I just click the start to that intro and it's going to slowly kick in here in the next 20 seconds. Who knows? We've got a lot of fun to talk about. We're going to get into some football today. We have the king of podcasting, the OG, the guy who came from he was out of the fantasy Twitter streets, but he has been back in the fantasy Twitter streets. He's been out there posting gas on X, telling you who he's not drafting, telling you what to not like about the Hard Knocks. Whew. Are you guys ready for an awesome show? We have the Podfather. Good?
Coming in hot, Johnny.
Better?
You're coming in hot. You sound good. I sound good.
Let's
I'm pumped up. Feeling great. I worked out today.
Yeah,
It's fantastic. You work out
I got
today?
out of bed before 10 this morning. Let's go.
You know the music's still playing.
I know. It's so good, dude. I whenever you do that on your shows, I get chills. And someone actually, I did it one time before. I think I did it for like Chev when he came as a guest. And people were ripping me in the comments like, "Oh, the Podfather intro is you're trying to pull that one off, huh?"
Well, you know what happened, right? Is Spotify started blocking the show because of that.
Oh,
Yeah, because that's technically Eye in the Sky. That's the Alan Parsons project. And then, they have some automated bot. I'm sure if Alan Parsons knew that there was some podcaster that like to use the beginning of that song, which it's almost a non sequitur element of a song. The whole, most of the song Eye in the Sky doesn't even sound like that. It's in a totally different key and everything else. It's just an interlude into the show. So I'm sure no one would care, but there's some automated program that like takes the show down if we put that. So I can't.
anyways, we did it. We're here.
We're here. We're podcasting. We're podcasting on Facebook. We're podcasting on Player Profiler Now, and Player Profiler Now on X. And are you okay with this? Because I've been streaming to Player Profiler Now, but you seem to have a real snobbery about streaming to Player Profiler Now. I was on the phone with you, and I was like, "Listen, man, we really should stream to Player Profiler Now, and then we can edit the video, and then we can have a more polished version to upload to the main Player Profiler YouTube channel and other channels." And you're like, "Man, I don't know if people are going to like that. I think we like streaming to the main channel, and that's like a benefit that we have." Do you remember that
Dude,
conversation?
that's a great impersonation. Well, let's get some comments in the chat so they can prove me wrong, right? Like, let's get some interaction. If you guys have questions, we've got the Podfather on the minor league network, is what we call it here. All the contributors. So we're on the player
So I'm in the
profiler.
minor leagues because this is what
You stepped down to grace the minor leagues, and we deserve some interaction. So I'll at least say that we actually have a comment already as I said that. So I don't know if
it was a long comment too. It was a multi-paragraph comment. So clearly they're just not reacting, placating you. This was already in the works.
Yes.
So this guy traded his first, second, and third last year, but he has Josh Allen, Breece Hall, AJ Brown, Rashee Rice, Kenneth Walker, Bucky Irving, and George Kittle as his keepers. And
do you keep Pollard or Kittle?
Why did we need all that setup? Is that really?
I think it's somewhat helpful. You get an idea of the roster construction. He's got AJ or Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Bucky Irving.
Who the hell is keeping Pollard in that situation?
Huh?
Who the hell is keeping Pollard in that situation?
That's my point. I think you keep Kittle.
What is that? Actually, let's ask the commenters. What is the team build that you would have to keep Pollard? I mean, if I had Bowers, McBride, and Loveland, maybe then Pollard. Otherwise, dude, I'm keeping Kittle because in tight end premium, you're most of the tight end premium leagues that I'm in is multiple flex positions. So even if you had Loveland and Warren, let's put Bowers. I mean, Bowers is another universe. He's a fantasy robot sent from heaven. Let's just put him off to the side. Let's just say you have Loveland and Warren. I'm still doing it. So again, the context doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, he says he's heard 50-50 on it. With tight ends, they can go into their late 30s, right? They can continue to be productive. Or a running back is just a decreasing asset. I just see this as like you've got a guy like Kittle who could accrue some value as he gets healthy, where Pollard, I think it's just downhill for him from here. He's got this year left, maybe, right? But you can just throw him back into the draft pool and, maybe pick him up again, because I just don't think people are going to be jumping at the bit to get him,
Does everyone love how good Johnny sounds now? If you've been a fan of the deep end, like the show. If you like how Johnny sounds, like the show. I think he sounds fantastic. I think we're gonna get a cold open next time. This is gonna be a perfect show moving forward. He's learned all his lessons. He took his spanking behind the scenes before the show even started.
And during the show. Yep.
What was the spanking during the show?
You spent 10 minutes just eviscerating me.
What? No. We were just talking. I was just explaining the situation. You know why? Maybe we went live an hour after we were supposed to because we were configuring the audio.
But dude, you're so gracious with your time, and I think that's honestly it is. There's so much that goes in behind the scenes, and you being willing to take that time, and you're the best guy to learn from. So appreciate it. You are. I mean, I hear stories about you just like and that voice for the radio and how you deliver the content is half of the fun. Yep, getting some constructive Podfather criticism.
No, I think everybody agrees. I mean, actually, let us know if you don't agree.
Yeah,
if you think Johnny used to sound better when he used to sound like this, if you liked Johnny this way when he was this, and if you liked Johnny better when he was quiet and not as fulsome, and when he was more timid. Because that's the other thing we're doing with Johnny. We're gonna do a slap him in the face, you know. We're getting him hyped up. We're gonna get him aggressive. We're gonna get him ready to go. It's gonna be high energy. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's a mentality. Do you see how annoying it is to listen to this? This is like listening to Hard Knocks, but worse. Like I would do such a better job than all of these people. I mean, I was floored. The head of analytics couldn't even talk. He couldn't even formulate a thought. He was just stuttering and stammering, like staring off into space. It was nothing but just a string of cliches from all like the headline. It was coach this, coach that. The head coach was half the show. And you all know now why I don't worship coaches, because they're fairly useless. I mean, what are you getting listening to this guy, Mike McDonald? What are you gaining? What did you glean from listening to Mike McDonald? Nothing. Or the quarterback. Oh, let's get Mike McDonald. I swear, I didn't look this up. I just want to put it out of my mind because I was so upset. Because there's been so many Hard Knocks back through time that have been so good.
Yep.
So good. That to have this one be so poor, I think it's Lieb Schreiber or Lieb. I think it's Lieb Schreiber. It's a very difficult name for me to say. The Lieb Schreiber script. That's a tough one. Can you say that? Don't worry. The Lieb Schreiber script was so bad. It was so vanilla and on the nose and pathetic. And no one said anything interesting. The only thing that we saw that was what we would classify as good content was movement by the running back coach. And that was it. They didn't have one undrafted rookie trying to make the roster. Those are always the best stories. Where was that guy? Where was undrafted guy X trying to make the roster against all odds? What are we doing? What is going like? Remember, like the Bills had like Joe Football or whatever. There's always somebody that is it. And the Bears had Wheeler, the running back Wheeler, who was like a med student. Remember Wheeler?
They had Austin Reed doing a little singing, right? We'll get there. We'll maybe get there.
All fun stuff. And then remember Austin Wheeler? He tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Like on the show, it's so. And then what do you think anything? I mean, does anyone in the chat think you're going to get anything interesting at all? At like a syllable of anything interesting from Sam Darnold or Mike McDonald? Spoiler alert, you're not.
Yeah, well, I told you, dude, I was at the San Francisco for the Super Bowl, and I drove an hour out to go to their media day for an hour and a half, and it was like watching paint dry, talking to most of those guys, right? And listening to the 30 minutes from the Mike McDonald presser. So, you kind of knew what you were signing up for if you've kind of followed them closely.
Remember the Lions?
Yeah, it was a really good one.
Oh, the Lions was terrific. This was this is the first time I've ever had to apologize to someone I was watching a show with. I was like, I want to tell you, I'm sorry. We just wasted an hour of our time. If you haven't watched it yet, that's the beauty of on demand, is like, instead of us all having collectively wasted an hour, now I can issue a PSA to the audience. Do not watch it. It's horrible. You can just go to @fantasy_mansion and you can find the photo of Liev Schreiber, and there's a clip with the only interesting thing that happens on the show. Probably I don't see anything. If this is the cast of characters they're going to be following, and they're just going to be basically having a coach press conference, just a coach speak cliche press conference. If that's basically going to be the I guarantee. I haven't looked. I'm going to find out. We're going to report back. There was a change in producers. There was a change at the top with that show. I think it's either a new production company, a new producer. Something happened. Something changed. A head writer, whatever it is, head showrunner. Something major changed. You could tell because whoever took over was just like, oh, this is what a sports show should have. We need to follow the head coach.
They neutered it.
Yeah, but the person who was producing that show for many, many years understood what's interesting about sports. Whoever was producing that show does not know. I think that it'd be possible. You have to mine that roster for someone interesting. If you work hard enough, you can find some interesting people by doing a lot of scouting, by doing a lot of pre-interviewing to figure out who the hell we're going to invest in miking up and putting on camera. But they clearly don't. It's sad. It was sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of the Browns was another good one when Corey Coleman came into Hugh Jackson's office and is asking why he's not running with the ones, and it was like, because you're going to be out of the league in a few years, player. Like,
I mean, do you remember one undrafted player being on screen at all ever?
Well, I just don't remember. That was why when you were saying it, I'm like, I can't think off the top of my head. Like last year, if it would have been fun kind of seeing Damian Martinez, right? They had him, 7th round guy. Like, I don't think of a lot of offensive positions that they really invested in, even late round draft capital. So I'm struggling to think
they
of
even
who that
called
guy would
Cooper
be
Kupp
myself.
their wide receiver too. It's like, it's Rashid Shaheed. Where's Rashid Shaheed? Like, yeah, he's
Cooper Kupp is dust, but I think what I would like to see more on is Torrey Horton to that point, and kind of his shin injury. That's so cryptic what happened with him. He came back from an ACL tear, and then he misses the season with a shin injury and I asked him about that at the Super Bowl. He said he kind of rushed back from that knee, and this was kind of a symptom of it. That's the best answer I've heard was when I asked him myself. So I would love to hear someone kind of dig into that a little more, because he had a bit of a breakout last year, and I really do think he is the second best receiver in that offense at this point. Like coming out of
it's
CSU,
Rashid, dude. Why are you doing this?
Because Rashid Shaheed is a special teams guy and a field stretcher. I think if we didn't see Clint Kubiak get a lot out of him downfield after the trade, I just don't see how the new coaching staff is going to I just don't see it with Shaheed. I don't know. He's more of like a best ball guy for me.
They're moving him all around the formation, which you wouldn't have known, right, if you were watching this. But he's been a super efficient player. He's best comparable to Jordan Addison. He's just basically an older, undrafted. That's a guy. Not only he wasn't undrafted, they got him in trade, but they traded for him, and he's gonna be the number. He's gonna be the clear-cut number 2. Like, he can play anywhere. He is not just a field stretcher. He's way more versatile than that. He's good on special teams. I mean, he had 687 yards last year. It's just a lot of them weren't with Seattle. He had over 1,000 air yards. it was just only 2 touchdowns. And again, a lot of them wasn't with Seattle because he got traded mid-season and he has to learn the playbook and he has to get integrated into the offense. And that's some of the stuff that I would love to learn more about.
Kubiak came from the Saints. So everything you just said kind of is a moot point, because it's like they traded for this guy because he was supposed to know the playbook. He was supposed to slot into that offense and have immediate production. And what they actually got out of him was a guy who had like 3 special teams touchdowns, like, which is awesome. He's a great punt returner and kick returner. There you go. You just got pushed. I see people commenting that not enough people stand back or like fire back at you. So there it is. That's a little clap back at the Podfather.
You know what he did against New England when he finally got acclimated, right? He had 5 targets. He only had 2 catches, had 131 air yards. Just got erased. Weren't there. But he had 3 games with 9 targets before he was traded. He is a very good player, and they are going to integrate him into the offense finally with a full offseason and a training camp and a preseason. But you may not even see his face on HBO. And I would love to see that position battle between he and Torrey Horton. But no. Of course, they're going to focus on Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp. And it's just embarrassing. Like the whole thing, it's truly embarrassing. And they talk about certain players like Jadarian Price, but they don't let. I would like to hear from Jadarian Price, but no. It's we're only hearing from the coach and Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp. Okay, guys, cool, good show. Thanks.
So let's talk about another guy that you really like that just got a big payday, Zay Flowers. You've been, again, I was watching you with Cody Carpentier the other day and kind of discussing about you'd basically take him over Nico Collins, which is, in that mid 20 ADP range, which is a bit higher than what he was going for. But now he's got that contract. I think that ADP is going to rise. Do you think that ADP deserves to rise? And does it feel validating to see him get that big money, that Justin Jefferson kind of money?
Skang in the chat says that you were actually hard to listen to before and that this is a very noticeable change.
Thank you, Skang. And last show, I didn't even have my mic
literally
set up.
Just didn't have his mic plugged in all the way.
Yeah, this was, the last show, I couldn't even get into my computer like properly, so I had to use a different computer to get into the StreamYard. I'm working through all sorts of tech garbage over here, but appreciate your
I don't think
feedback,
it's garbage.
Skang.
It's just having some baseline competency. That's the thing. No one needs to know anything anymore. Like, people ask me all these questions, and I'm like, why are you asking me? Like, you don't have to bother me. Just ask Gemini. Ask ChatGPT. All the answers are now on the web. There's nothing I can answer for you that you don't just know. What I can answer is, does this sound good or not? Like, is this good or not? That's the type of answer. So what I want to answer is, I want to be asked questions that are like, from a tastemaker standpoint, that's where I can add value. I can no longer add technical value to anyone because you can just like take a picture of your amp and be like, what do you think is wrong with this? And the second reason is your cord's not fully plugged in. Your XLR cable's not fully plugged in. I mean, for how many shows was this going on? And you were like, I have to stream to the main channel. I'm too good. It's not good enough to stream to Player Profiler now. There's not as big enough audience there. It's a big benefit to me to stream to the main channel. It's one of the reasons I do this. And then I'm like, wait, but what about me? I stream to the player. This is where I stream Player Profiler now. That's what it means. Now, like live now. That's the whole point of the channel. That's why reason it was created.
Thoughts in the chat. Do we need two channels in general? Thoughts in the chat.
Of course we do. Why? Because right now, Dan Williamson is streaming to the other channel.
Do we have a third channel? I think we have a Player Profiler Dynasty channel. Thoughts in the chat. Do we need a third channel?
You can't have enough channels. You cannot have enough channels. As long as the content is specific, there's some people that only want Dynasty content.
Thoughts in the chat. Does Matt need a guy like me in his ear every once in a while just to keep him in check a little bit?
The only question, it's not should we all have one mega channel? No, we're not doing one mega channel, because YouTube, by the way, even if you want it, YouTube will punish you for doing that. Okay? And so that's not possible, unfortunately. So the second, I guess the question would be, should I have my own channel?
That's the real question.
Right? Should there be? I think people want that.
The Podfather.
And I have refused to do that. I have refused to do that because I've assumed that everyone that is collaborating with me, that I am raising up on my shoulders, is plugging their goddamn mic in.
Well, thank you for sticking by me, dude, through thick and thin.
30 minutes. We've done 30 minutes live, and not a single question about a particular player. Just, should I do trade X, which was obvious. You should get George Kittle. Or was that even a trade? What was that? Oh, keeper, right? It was a keeper question. Yes, Kittle. Just make it. That's probably one of those things where I think that, I'm not criticizing the commenter about that, because I've been there too. Like, it's obvious to me, but I just need that extra little reassurance.
Yep.
Like, I know it's probably Kittle, but is there something I'm missing with Pollard? So I think that's what that was. So other than like reassuring someone who already knew the answer, that's all we've really accomplished, except just criticizing you and your entire show library, and this new latest episode of the HBO Hard Knocks series, which is a complete abomination and is an embarrassment, and the producer should be fired. That's all we've accomplished. We did a whole sort of graphic for the show about Zay Flowers. People assume they're definitely going to talk about Zay Flowers any second now, I'm sure. I'll keep listening because the Podfather sounds so damn good, and somehow Johnny doesn't sound bad anymore. So I'm going to keep listening. But at some point, I'm hoping they talk about players. It is August.
Can we talk about football on a football show?
I think we need to talk about a player. So we did a massive rankings update. PlayerProfiler.com. Subscribe to the rankings. When you subscribe to the rankings or anything on Player Profiler, you get an ad-free experience. So I don't want to get any emails or any notes about anybody complaining about the ads on Player Profiler, because you can turn them all off at any time by subscribing to anything. And they immediately, like that, off. You don't see another ad because you pay. You either pay one way or the other. Either the advertiser pays or you pay. The beauty is when you pay, you get access to the rankings and all this premium data that the people that are letting the advertiser pay the bills are not. So it's pretty silly to not subscribe for that reason alone. Zay Flowers is moving up, and our goal is to always be ahead of market on Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers in the rankings is now adjacent with Chris Olave, and he's almost in Rashid Shaheed territory. Okay. He's well ahead of Rashid Shaheed. So, but yes, I would challenge anyone, and let us know in the chat, in the comments. Email me, podfather@rotowonderworld.com. If you have seen Zay Flowers higher than wide receiver 11, that's where we have him. So if there is a, what do you mean? He's a top 5 wide receiver in the league in terms of annual salary, and there are very, very few receivers, if any, that have less target competition, are more of the focal point of a passing game. Like, since when is anyone really that worried about dusty Mark Andrews? I like Mark Andrews because of the situation that he's in, because of the vacated target, specifically from Isaiah Likely. I'm forced to like Mark Andrews because he is going to just have touchdown passes hit him in the face mask. That is something that's going to happen. And so you have to draft him if he's falling to you in that Dallas Goedert zone. Same thing with Dallas Goedert. You draft him on the same spot because they're the same situation, and they're not exciting. We just have to pick them. But it's like, Who else? Who else, right? Jacoby Lane? Jacoby Lane's a rookie. Okay, Jacoby Lane is a rookie. He's flashing. He's moving ahead of Surratt because of that. He's a better player than Surratt, had a stronger profile than Surratt. But what are we talking about? Like, this is a run-first offense dominated by Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson pulling passes out of the offense and handing them off or running with it. And then when they do actually throw, there's two guys they throw to. Super consolidated. And the guy they're throwing to, who's the number one, is one of the best separators, is awesome after the catch, is a total target magnet, is a complete dog, and is amazing. And so this idea that wide receiver 11 is aggressive, I think is just silly. It's just people that aren't doing the math.
Over under 135 targets for Zay.
Over.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there.
Over 200 targets.
Over 200. Yeah.
Yeah, 250. I think 250. Oh, wait, no, maybe a little more. 257. Over under 257. I think 257 is the number. 257. I hate these questions. Exact number of targets.
I think over 135.
If you go to our player rankings, there's a download button, and every projection for every stat is there. From games to targets, receptions, yards, but it's obviously it's like fractional. Like what we have, projected for whatever it is. We have Zay projected for like 2,217.58 yards, right? And whatever, I think was something like 27.6 touchdowns, something like that, I'm sure. Or you can just download and get the real information. But yeah, wall bang. I mean, that's a pretty good estimate right there. And he's great after the catch. Like, he's great everywhere. He's all they have. It's wow. It's not even hard to figure out. Fantasy football doesn't have to be hard sometimes. Were you going to draft T. Higgins at number 2 over that? Like, why? Why am I drafting T. Higgins? Why am I drafting Nico Collins over that, where Nico Collins has like a doppelganger across the field from him? It looks exactly like him. Why would I do that? If there was another Zay Flowers, why would I draft Zay Flowers if he was competing with another Zay Flowers? But he doesn't have that problem. It's Rashad Bateman, and then it's going to be Jacoby Lane, right? And I know it's fun to talk about rookies and how, Jacoby Lane, he's going to move up. Yeah, it's a big win. This is the thing. It's a big win if Jacoby Lane is the wide receiver 3. That's a big win for him as a non-first round wide receiver rookie. That's uncommon to get to that level. The guy that probably has the best chance to get to that level is someone like Caleb Douglas, because there's just no one in front of him. What does he have to do? He has to outplay who, right? To get to the wide receiver 3. Not even.
Malik Washington.
Not even.
The ghost of Tutu Atwell.
He has to outplay Tutu Atwell. He has to outplay Kevin Coleman Jr. Right? That's nothing. Right? So, yes, there's some guys it's a little bit easier than others, but he still has to outplay Surratt. He still has to outplay Tez Walker. So there's still some players that have, NFL careers, 5-year NFL careers in their range of outcomes that he has to outplay. But it's right there on playerprofiler.com/news. I mean, he's just destroying in camp, and it's exciting to see him do that. I liked his profile. I hated the landing spot, and all he can do, right? All he can do is just be the best Jacoby Lane that he can be.
I want to shift gears. I want to talk about this tight end landscape a little bit, because one of the things you've been very vocal about, I want to get into those later round veterans, because to your point, there's some value there. But one of the guys you're very outward about fading is Trey McBride. Where does all the hate stem from, dude?
The math. Not all of those guys can eat in that offense. If that offense is going to win 2 games, how are they going to eat? How are they all going to eat? Because I've also been told that I'm way too hard on Marvin Harrison Jr., that drops are not predictive of future performance. But it's not just the drops. It's just the overall body of work for Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what I don't like. And Michael Wilson is ascending. And they just drafted Jeremiah Love, telling you that they want to run the ball more and they're going to throw the ball to the running back more because Jeremiah Love is an elite receiver out of the backfield. And that is going to be a damper on the target share of Trey McBride. Trey McBride, it's not sustainable unless you are an upper percentile elite athlete. Maybe we just have never seen it, like 30% target share for an extended period of time. When we run our projections, if he just takes a hit of like 1.5%, if his target share just comes down 1.5%, then you should not be drafting him in the second round. Right? So he's actually very fragile in that he's a tight end, and tight ends historically have had limited ceilings. There's only one guy that I think is uncapped at the tight end position, and that's Brock Bowers. Trey McBride is best comparable to Zach Ertz, and that makes sense. Zach Ertz was a volume producer. He is an undersized move tight end, just like Zach Ertz was, and had 169 targets last year. I think that's highly unrealistic. And so that's it.
I'm with you there. I think
it's pretty simple. I mean, and he did a lot. He had more receiving yards than he had air yards. Yards per reception was under 10. So he did a lot of damage with yak, which is also less predictive, less sticky from the previous year than air yards is. So for a lot of reasons, I just think it's highly unlikely. It's impossible. He's not going to be number one in target share in the league this year. I don't even think he's going to be number one where he was in target rate, targets per route run. His targets per route run was 24.7 last year. I keep hearing about Colston Loveland. And I'm like, okay. And then I know Tyler Warren is in a better situation. And Tyler Warren's just he's like he profiles as a little bit of an upgrade overall, in terms of size, speed, just overall ability over Trey McBride. And so, yeah, I mean, he was number one in red zone targets and first read targets and air yard share and all these things because half the year, the only other guy that he was competing for targets with Michael Wilson. Now it's not just Marvin Harrison Jr.'s back. It's also Jeremiah Love. And not only is he a tight end, but he's not a Bowers level talent. So for those reasons, and he's on a 2-win team. So what are you trying to accomplish? I just don't understand. You had your win. You got Trey McBride last year at value. He had 11 touchdowns. The year before that, by the way,
2.
He only had 2 touchdowns. So talk about touchdown regression. I mean, this guy had 6 touchdowns in 3 years. Then he had 11 touchdowns. And you're going to be bullish on that guy? That guy is always a fade. When a guy puts up a completely and utterly unsustainable touchdown rate from one year to the next, he's always a fade. That's the easiest. That's like fantasy football for dummies. Go look at the guy with the craziest touchdown rate and fade him the next year. That would be the first thing you would do in a series of 7,000 steps to dominate fantasy football. So yeah, that's an easy one. I like him. He's a good player. But in the second round, in the early third round, when I can get stud running backs and stud receivers, are you kidding me? There's people that draft him over Jeremiah Love. It's like, what? No. Yeah, because this is not a too many mouths to feed. No, there's actually the right number of mouths to feed. And he's actually not special enough he's not, mostly because he's a tight end, and tight ends in general don't have the dynamism that wide receivers do. Brock Bowers is a possible exception. I'm very open to Brock Bowers being essentially a wide receiver this year, like in all elements of play, maybe for the first time ever. That being an unprecedented mega talent at the tight end position. That's not
Yep.
Trey McBride. Trey McBride is Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz had a monster year with Philadelphia once upon a time, and it was a moment in time. It wasn't like Zach Ertz is an instant Hall of Famer and he's like the Calvin Johnson of tight ends. No. So yeah, it's it's an easy fade. I think it's almost too obvious. It's one of those things where I can't believe he is being drafted where he's being drafted and that he's so off limits. Like when you say I'm fading Trey McBride, ooh, really? Oh, why would you do that? He's so consistently amazing every year. And it's like, have you seen the projected win totals? Have you seen the quarterback situation? And also, Michael Wilson keeps getting better and better and better. If you're going to pick a passing game to invest in, are you going to pick the 2-win team's most expensive option? Very rarely, right? Very rarely. It's the same reason I'm not going with Tet McMillan. There's a lot of guys that are like, yeah, interesting. Tet McMillan's not this super dynamic talent, right? And I can get a much better value if I'm going to be investing on that team, which I don't want to do anyway. But if you're going to make me, if you're going to twist my arm, make me draft a Panthers receiver, I'm just going to go Jalen Coker. What? Like, if you're going to make me draft a pass catcher in Arizona, I'm just going to go Michael Wilson and move on. And then whatever happens with that offense, I'm not so invested. Like, it's scary, man. It's scary. I mean, but I think, see, that's the weird thing. I think Trey McBride's scary. Most people think that he's very safe. And that's very strange to me.
I think he could regress 20%. And you'd still get I think you can't even argue this. 100 catches, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns.
No, he could regress way worse than that. He could be an 800-yard guy.
I don't know, man. That just seems, because then I start thinking about 2024, to your point. Like, I think what we saw in 2024 is more in line with what to expect than what to expect.
What about 2023? He played 17 games. He had over 100 targets.
He came on halfway through the year. That was when Ertz got injured. And again, when you look at that finish to 2023 and you it replicated what 2024 looked like through the entire season, that's what you're getting. You're getting 1,000 yards, 100 receptions, 6 touchdowns. That's a little under what everyone else is projecting. Like, I think even our player rankings, our draft guide has the projections slightly higher than that. So that's where I converge, where I'm like, I get it. 2025, we're not expecting it, and it's almost baked into the current ADP.
Yeah, but
at the same time, the fade's getting a little too far when we start saying 800 yards. Man, this guy's you
said the downside. His floor is absolutely 800. Absolutely, it's 800 yards. Are you kidding me? Also, have you noticed in some of these highlights? Have you noticed if you've noticed Michael Wilson highlights? If you've seen some of these drops, do you know who's running down the seam? Who's the deepest player on the field in the passing game in some of these plays in Arizona? Have you noticed?
Who is it? Trey McBride?
No, Elijah Higgins. Elijah Higgins is going to get used. Elijah Higgins is very athletic, and he's a move tight end. He's a converted wide receiver. He is going to be a problem as well. He is very good. And so they're going to be using a lot more 12 personnel, and it's going to be very frustrating. I can't wait. I'm so excited for all these. He did it for 2 straight seasons, so it's definitely going to happen again. Maybe. Or like the moon and the stars aligned. And now we're going to get to see when you actually have any competition at the tight end position for targets whatsoever, any competition at all from the wide receiver 2 spot, any competition for targets from the running back position. And then we're going to see, can he get to 1,000 yards? It's absolutely not written in ink
But
that
wait, so are you
he's going to get
taking
to
the
1,000
under
yards.
officially on that stat line? Under 100 receptions, under 1,000 yards, under 6 touchdowns.
Whatever his projection is, whatever his
You're-
like baseline projection is, I'm going to take the under because a lot more can go wrong for that team and him specifically than can go right. He's being drafted at his best case scenario. It's not possible for him to exceed his ADP. It's just not. You know he's getting drafted at the end of the second round.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing you.
Do you know who gets drafted in that round? I mean, are you serious? Like, this is what I don't understand. Like, it's just mind-boggling. Do you know who gets drafted in these? You're obviously Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is going to outproduce him. Duh.
But I love it. That's hot, dude. That's a hot take. That's actually
Zay Flowers outproducing Trey McBride.
I mean, it's a hot take, undeniably. You're talking about a guy going 2 rounds.
The guy that
later.
had 6 touchdowns in 3 seasons. Okay. Right. All right.
So talking about tight ends and people, you're talking about a guy who's overvalued. One of the biggest values I see on the entire board.
By the way, we have that officially on PlayerProfiler.com. Okay. Officially. We have Zay Flowers ranked ahead of Trey McBride, and we have Zay Flowers projected to score 10 more fantasy points this year than Trey McBride. So this isn't me hot taking. This isn't me just being edgy. But when you go to the rankings and you're in your draft and you're on the draft kit, it's telling you to draft Trey McBride. No. I'm telling you not to draft Trey McBride. Don't draft Trey McBride over Emeka Egbuka or Garrett Wilson or Zay Flowers or even Nico Collins. No, absolutely not. The upside is not there. And there's also plenty of tight ends available later. It's a one-off position. There's tons of guys you can get later that aren't going to be exactly like him, but you can get a guy that's exactly like him. You can get a carbon copy, situation, ability, maybe even a little bit better situation, maybe a little bit more ability, maybe a little bit less target competition in Tyler Warren. So if you just want to set up the ADP arbitrage, why the hell am I paying the Chris Olave, Jeremiah Love prices for tight end when I can get the same guy and be paying Travion Henderson, Brian Thomas Jr. prices?
Well, I'll go a step further than that, man. There's a tight end on the board. 9 out of his past 10 seasons as a top 3 tight end, top 6 tight end in 10 straight seasons. Travis Kelce. Now all of a sudden we just are writing him off as dust and drafting him after tight end 10.
He could outproduce Trey McBride.
I think he's etched in stone to me as a top 5 tight end is my point. And again, it's just like we all have just written it off that he's just going to fall off a cliff and be, drafting around guys like Isaiah Likely. Like, this is where I start to have trouble. A guy who's never sniffed the level that Kelce's sniffed in his late 30s, right? So do you see eye to eye with me on that?
Not really. I'm not that interested in Kelce this year. I only think that he could outproduce Trey McBride because Trey McBride has the expected touchdown regression. And if you just average his touchdowns from 2024 and 2023, that's 2.5 touchdowns on a team that's not going to score. So, I mean, he could easily post, several hundred less yards and still with touchdowns equal Trey McBride's fantasy output because he could have a big touchdown season. You could get like 9 touchdowns.
So would you take Isaiah Likely over Travis Kelce?
I think we have them pretty similarly ranked. I think in the ADPs, in best ball, the NFFC, places like that, they're similar. I see a little more ups with him. You're looking at touchdown upside, and I see a little more touchdown upside from Goddard and guys like Jake Ferguson. So I'd rather just hit the offense. It's Kansas City's shaking out well for him though. Like, he is moving up. He definitely moved up in this last rankings update. He's going to keep moving up as long as guys keep getting hurt. Like Xavier Worthy moved down. Those targets have to go somewhere. Right?
Dude, if Travis Kelce if he finishes below tight end 5, I will eat this hat.
You're going to eat the hat. He's probably not going to be tight end 5 is pretty ambitious for him.
9 out of 10 seasons he's done it. And the one season he didn't, he was hurt.
Well,
I just don't understand why we're just now all of a sudden, now's the year where he's not a top 5 tight end anymore.
Because there's a downtrend in his career. There's been a downtrend in his efficiency. There's been a downtrend overall.
And so he went from like historic all-time seasons to now just like tight end 3. You know what I mean?
If Mahomes was not coming back from an ACL tear, we had a little more confidence, everyone would be a little bit higher. Rashee Rice would go a little bit earlier. This Cyrus Allen, man. This Cyrus Allen is the real deal. They also really want to be more of a running team with Kenneth Walker. I like to listen to teams when they tell you what they are. So I think there's just going to be fewer pass attempts, especially with Mahomes coming back from the ACL. There's going to be a lot of catering the offense to Kenneth Walker. He was a Super Bowl MVP after all. So that's another issue. I think I looked at his target share and I was very pleased where we had projected his target share. And then I was curious why he wasn't scoring more fantasy points, but that was just because we have Kansas City projected for just less volume this year in the passing game, more in the running game, because again, they had Kareem Hunt. They had nothing. They were getting no added value from the running back last year. And so everything's a little bit skewed. That's another reason why we're a little bit lower on Rashee Rice. Like, we're below market on Rashee Rice for that reason. This shoulder injury, where you know that Xavier Worthy has a history of shoulder injuries, even though they say it's minor, we moved him down. Like, that is a big red flag, and it's all systems go for Cyrus Allen. Thank God he had this massive collision. He gets carted off the field. Turns out it was just a bone bruise on his shin. Thank God. But he is a unique talent. He is operating in that intermediate area of the field. That's also where Kelsey operates. He had that area to himself. Rashee Rice has like a negative yak. No, sorry. Excuse me.
A-dot.
Yes. Rashee Rice has a negative A-dot and is all yak. And the opposite, they have two guys that the polar opposite players, where, okay, Xavier Worthy is all air yards. And basically, Cyrus Allen is going to be what they wanted Sky Moore and Jalen Royals to be, that intermediate separator, chain mover, to give them another option other than Travis Kelce.
I think you got to look at selling Cyrus Allen when you say it like that, dude. It's just, we've been burned so many times with these training camp, Justin Ross looking amazing. Sky Moore's the next guy. Kadarius Toney can fill Tyreek Hill's role, right? Like, year after year after year, we get way ahead of our skis on someone. Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, I know that you were on a show recently with the coach where he shouted me out as the OG Cyrus Allen head. I have him in like every single league, and I'm in a creators league with all the, the big fantasy heads. First guy to scoop him off waivers, your boy, right? So I've got him everywhere. But I think at this point, if you've got him everywhere and you know who this guy is, you've got to start floating out offers for second round picks, lock in some actual real equity. You wouldn't trade a second for a guy that you pick up off waivers before the season even starts, who's a 5th round pick who, didn't have a Puka-esque college profile? Like, there's not a ton under the hood there to just be like, oh, this guy's clearly the next, big star. Like, I think you've got to capitalize on hype sometimes.
What leagues are you getting a 2027 second? Do you realize how hard it is to get a 2027 second?
That's why I'm saying, if you can
any
get it,
serious league, you're not going to get a 2027 second for Cyrus Allen, who was just scooped off on waiver. No one is ever going to do that. I don't know what league. Have you done that transaction before? Please flash it. Show us the receipt.
I think you were on Trade Gods looking at trades where you were almost like somewhat insinuating that that's the value, right? And point is, it's not far
I saw
off.
It once. I mean,
it's not far off. Like, if someone offers you a guy they picked up in the 3rd round, I'm just thinking, maybe even not. not Antonio Williams after the Diggs signing, but someone like that who is like a guy where there's just no immediate path, almost like a Jacoby Lane. And you're hearing all this buzz coming out about Cyrus Allen, and you're like, man, there could be an immediate path and a good offense with Patrick Mahomes. Like, and we're getting news from Player Profiler that he's exactly what Kansas City needs. You're not letting go for him for a third at this point. I don't
He's
think
the
I don't think
dynasty
I
wide
would.
receiver 75. It's way too early to let him go. You're not going to get a second rounder. I know one person did once upon a time in one league, and we found it in the trade finder because our trade finder searches all these leagues everywhere and finds one league that it happened. That's not normal. That's not possible. I'm sure. Let us know in the chat. Have you ever seen or heard of a Cyrus in real life, in the wild, Cyrus Allen commanding a 2027 second? It's impossible. That's not going to happen. I mean, it's not even worth your time. I wouldn't even offer it because it's not going to happen. You need
I've
to
been trying to layer him in for guys like Zay Flowers, is my point. Maybe you add a first and Cyrus Allen, and all of a sudden that deal is actually somewhat enticing to someone, right?
It's too early. Preseason hasn't even started yet. There's more room to go. This is a classic stock market fallacy where as soon as there's one thrust up, there's a philosophy that's like, okay, flip it, like flip it, just flip. Fifth round pick, flip. Fifth round pick, sell the hype. Yes, sell the hype, but you need to wait. There's let the bubble grow. Remember, all these guys were thinking that the stock market was going to crash in 2006, like the real estate bubble, 2007. No. Some of them went bankrupt trying to short the market because the bubble just kept growing and growing, and they had a very difficult, couldn't even understand how illogical the euphoria was, right? The irrational exuberance. Couldn't even get their head around it. I'm telling you, there's a lot more room to grow and room to run with Cyrus Allen. He is way past Jalen Royals now, way past Sky Moore. He is good. You have to understand, he is officially good, and giving him up for, say, a third rounder, can you really think you can get a player better than him in the third round next year? I mean, maybe not. I would, depends on if I think it was an early third rounder, I'd be very tempted, but I haven't received those yet. I keep scrolling through all these news stories. I mean, Cyrus Allen is the most blurbed about player on Player Profiler, and we have very high standards. You go to another news service, you're going to see a lot of news that is just nonsense hype from coaches. It's just coaches saying we expect big things, and then that somehow shows up on Sleeper, right? All these news blurbs like Roto Baller, this person is an intriguing buy. He's an intriguing buy. He's an intriguing stash. All this AI slop news. You don't get that on Player Profiler. Okay. What you get on Player Profiler is real actionable news on players that matter. Okay. And there's no player that's getting more news written about them than Cyrus Allen. It comes from beat reporters. It comes from the coaches. It comes from the teammates. It comes from Patrick Mahomes. And it's not like, oh, we're expecting big things. It's, no, this guy took the first rep of practice. No, this guy was my first read. That's different. That's absolutely actionable. So every time I'm like, really? We're going to do another Cyrus Allen? Really? Another one? And then I read it and I'm like, yeah, that's actionable. Sometimes these guys are just actionable. Jacoby Myers was actionable. He was outplaying N'Keal Harry in camp, and there was something very similar happening. And it wasn't just a drumbeat. It was the specifics around the things Brady was saying, the things the coaches were saying, the things that the teammates were saying. And so I'm getting a lot of that now, with Cyrus Allen. On the flip side, you take a guy like Luther Burden, you're just seeing the same one play where he dominated a corner on a play over and over and over again. And if enough people retweet it, then it's like you've seen it 5 times, and it's like it happened 5 times. No, it only happened once. He had one great play. And I'm sure there was a great play that Roma Dunze made at some point that didn't get made into a clip for social media. So that's where the hype can, like a guy like Luther Burden, who hasn't actually produced at all in the NFL, that's the thing. It's like, how can you love Luther Burden and Trey McBride? Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be someone who's like, well, target share is very sticky year to year and it doesn't change. So Trey McBride is a for sure thing, right? So if I scroll down on Trey McBride, his target share last year was what? 27.4. And it's probably going to be 27.4 this year. Oh, okay. Even though there's more target competition. Got it. What about Luther Burden? Oh, no, Luther Burden's different. No, Luther Burden, yeah, his target share was only 12.8% last year, but he was probably playing hurt and he was a rookie. He was getting acclimated and there's no DJ Moore anymore. So now you remove all those DJ Moore targets. Well, he's going to get all those and he's way better now because he's worked out so hard in the offseason. That 12.8% target share is going to be 24 now. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to go ahead and project out Luther Burden, which we're doing, by the way. We are projecting Luther Burden. We have him ahead of Roma Dunze because there's no more DJ Moore for a lot of those reasons. Do we have him up where some of the most bullish analysts have him? Of course not. Like, we're not losing our minds about Luther Burden, but we're being pragmatic about this, right? But by the same token, you can't just post up everybody with a big target share last year and then also increase the target shares of the guys that you like. Then all of a sudden, you're going to have the NFL is going to have like 120% target share. You can't do that. So we are malleable. We're very open to moving Trey McBride's target share down if the conditions on the ground dictate it. And we're open to moving Luther Burden's target share up, but not so aggressively, right? It's just like there's no one moving Trey McBride's target share down aggressively. That's not, you don't ever see that. That'll never happen.
Right.
That'll never happen. But there's the bias. There's the bias. We've just isolated the bias.
That's actually that's a good breakdown. I'll give you
that.
We
have isolated. That is the bias right there. There's plenty of analysts that will flag wave and run laps around certain players and spike the football, literally doubling their target share, but they would never cut a player's target share in half when doing serious projections. And again, if you do it that way, if that's how you're going to run your projection shop, then you have to understand that you're breaking the rules of math. And that you're basically going to be counting 120% of targets.
Yeah. No, great point. I am curious to get your thoughts on this. Someone said drop Torrey Horton, Jalen McMillan for Cyrus. I don't know anything about the guy. I believe in the 2 I have rostered. We know Jalen McMillan, news on the street.
Easily.
Knee injury, timetable without return.
You need to get Cyrus Allen. He has room to run.
He needs to be rostered in every league, I would agree.
Is it a bubble? Yes.
But guess what?
There's a lot of companies. Yeah. There's a lot of companies that have come out of bubbles bigger than they were before the bubble. So that's what's going to happen. Is it a bubble? Yes. Will there be a point when you can sell high? Yes. I will tell you when that is. It is too soon now. But he is going higher. Everything.
Which one of those
You're not
guys
even letting
dropping?
him play in preseason? Like, he is a rookie. He is going to get a ton of run in preseason. Do you realize what's going to happen when he has one impressive catch from Patrick Mahomes in preseason and you're selling him now for a 3rd rounder? No. No. In fact, if I were to sell him for a 3rd rounder, I want to make sure I'm getting a running back that I want. So I would have to get at least a running back with upside, a Keaton Mitchell, a Kamani Vidal. Like I'm thinking of Chargers because that's the team that I, just a Sean Tucker. I would have to get a running back with some serious upside in addition to him. I mean, have you seen where Cyrus Allen is now in our dynasty rankings? Did you do your research before the show, Johnny?
No,
I love
I was
calling
too
you
busy
Johnny
getting
because
scolded over my mic.
I used to work for a guy. He was the head equipment manager at Northwestern, and I was a little slappy, right? So I was a slappy, and he used to call everybody Johnny. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard people that call everybody Johnny?
No, but I like it.
He called me Johnny, he called Greg Johnny, he called everybody Johnny. And so I love, hey, Johnny, but you're actually Johnny. It's great. So let's just plug this in here. I'm going to pull this up right now.
We have Cyrus Allen ahead of Antonio Williams. That was my exact point.
Oh yeah, sure. Why not?
I'm not even arguing. It's just crazy though. Like we're talking about.
It's just 2 rounds difference. One's a 3rd rounder, one's a 5th rounder. What's the big difference?
Just a few. You have them 4.
One guy's not a big.
Below
neither one of these guys
Boston,
are big time producers in college. I mean, what's the big? What Antonio Williams best comparable to the aforementioned Jalen McMillan, who you should be dropping for Cyrus Allen? Like, just does Antonio Williams have a 1,000-yard season on his resume? No. What is the problem? These guys are both guys that max out at like a 20% college target share. They're very similar. It's just that one guy is getting just an effusive praise throughout camp from everyone from the head coach to the best quarterback in the world. And Antonio Williams, have you heard his name mentioned ever? I mean, maybe once or twice that he's having a strong camp. He's made some plays here and there. But so has Seth McGowan, right? Seth McGowan flashing physicality. That's on our news feed.
Woof.
That matters though, because DJ Giddens is just a guy. DJ Giddens is highly underwhelming. Probably doesn't have enough dog to be the RB2 there, because he's an athlete, and so he's not translating that into what coaches want. Clearly, he's had more than a season. He's on his second off season with the Colts, and he would have established himself by now. And so now the door's open. And if you're getting coaches coming in and saying, hey, by the way, the guy we were really impressed with was Seth McGowan, and crickets about DJ Giddens, the one player that I felt really bad for with the Diggs signing going to Washington was McCaffrey. Because Luke McCaffrey had a path to be the starting slot receiver. And those days are over. Like, it's more a shot at McCaffrey. If McCaffrey was playing really well and flashing, there would have been less incentive to sign Stephon Diggs. But I think that they basically felt like we have 2 receivers we can even care about, and that's not enough. So we got to bring in Stephon Diggs. So now Antonio Williams is parked for a season where you have a mobile quarterback who's going to be pulling dropbacks and displacing them from the passing game to the running game. That's what players like Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson do. Patrick Mahomes is going to do less of that than he's ever done before, and they've talked about that. That's the plan for Patrick Mahomes this year. So now we've got a tight end that's about to retire. We have a wide receiver who has, what would we say, a negative ADOT, a field stretcher with glass shoulders. Cyrus Allen is in a great position to command at least a 10%, if not 15% target share this year, where Antonio Williams, that's like his ceiling. So now I'm just drafting him over Cyrus Allen because he's a little bit faster and was drafted earlier, but not like with top 50 draft capital, like 3rd rounder. Right. Most 3rd round wide receivers are busts. Spoiler alert. So what's the big deal? Like, That's one of those things where I'm like, in the years past, I was probably thinking we're too early or too late. I will say this year, I've been very pleased with the pacing of the momentum of players on specifically our dynasty rankings, but also best ball and in the draft kit and the seasonal ranks. I think our pacing of players with momentum has been as good as it gets. And that's so many years of experience to get to that point where, yeah, right now, given what we've seen from Cyrus Allen and the signing of Stephon Diggs and what we haven't seen from Antonio Williams, if I'm in a startup or if I'm in a rookie draft, I'm in a rookie draft right now. And I will tell you, I'm not going to do this, but I will tell you, again, I'm a professional hype fader, right? I like Luther Burden, everybody on Twitter, every fantasy analyst, especially anyone with like a hipster avatar, they're all pro Burden. No one's anti Burden, right? It's the everybody, and Burden's very good. Like Burden also has the high dog rating from Cody, which that's a big reason why I'm comfortable with him being probably the most aggressively projected player for us in terms of from year 1 to year 2. So I'm there, but I'm not there. And I've, a lot of times I'm like, guys, this is a little aggressive. Not so much with Cyrus Allen. I'm in a draft. I have the 202 in a rookie draft. And I'm not saying I put him in the queue, but I considered him. Because the 202 this year is not the 202 next year. Right? Of course, I would trade the 202 for a 2027 second instantly. I would run and do it. I would trade all my remaining picks for a 2027 second in this dog shit of a draft class. 2026 draft. It's a joke. Look who I'm looking at. Chris Bell. Will he even play this year? Nick Singleton. Will he play this year? Touch squeezed Jonah Coleman comes into the league with a touch squeeze. Ty Simpson, he'll be starting in 2029. Why do I care? Chris Brazel's next up. He's out for the year. Surratt's getting his job taken by Jacoby Lane. I'm just looking at the ADP. These are our rankings.
Yeah, no,
maybe I'll go Emmett Johnson after they just signed the Super Bowl MVP to play his position. Like what?
I think reports are that Emmett Johnson's like RB4 too. You got DeMarcado ahead of him. People have just written off Brashard Smith. So I think there's they're getting,
I've written
that
off
ADP has always been a little rich for me.
I'm happy to write off Brashard Smith, but no, DeMarcado's the number 2 there. Period. That is what it is. That will be the case in week 1. So suddenly Cyrus Allen becomes an interesting play in the second round.
We are over an hour in. We have talked about Cyrus Allen. We've talked about tight end market. We've talked about Zay Flowers. Don't go anywhere because we've got some more hot stuff we want to talk about.
The NFFC, my favorite high-stakes fantasy platform. Why? Third-round reversal, Kentucky Derby draft slot allocation. So it's a lottery-based system where you can put in your preference, where you want to draft. It's full PPR. There's 3 receivers. It's the best place to play fantasy football, especially for high stakes. And now they've combined with the FFWC, they have a lot more contests to offer. In fact, they have the Double Crown bonus where you can join the NFFC Primetime, and if you win that, $300,000. You can also join the Circa World Championship, and that's $200,000. You win both, you win $1 million. So go to playnffc.com/profiler and check the show description for a number of promo codes you can use. First time 100 to get $100 when you sign up, but also every time you sign up for a new contest, we give you codes to use to get discounts on those entry fees as well. Thank you to the NFFC. They make our podcast network what it is. In the chat, they're asking for Luther Burden's best comp, and it's very close. It's very obvious. It's very clear. It's Sammy Watkins. He looks like Sammy Watkins out there. Just his gait, his stature Even the big plays he's making, those are exactly the type of big plays that Sammy Watkins would make. It's just that Sammy Watkins had a low dog rating. He's basically Sammy Watkins with a higher dog rating, which means that he'll have more 1,000-yard seasons. Sammy Watkins capped out at 1,047 yards, and that's about what Burden's going to use, like a 1,000-yard receiver. 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's going to be solid. He's going to be solid. But no, he does not have the ceiling of Rome Odunze. And the more I think about it, the more I just consider builds and draft strategy. I want to be open to soaking up Colston Loveland when he slips.
Yes.
And then if I don't because I really, just in terms of like, what are you doing in real life when the bullets are flying in a real draft? I'm happy to push that button on Colston Loveland. And then if I don't get Colston Loveland, but I get kind of hyped up to get an elite tight end, I can just get Tyler Warren like a round later. So I find that to be the case from just a psychology standpoint. When I think I might get Loveland, but then he goes like a pick before me, I'm more likely to draft Warren because I'm like, ooh, that felt good. It felt good to kind of slip into that warm tight end world, that warm elite tight end world. I kind of like how my feet felt comfy in those slippers. And then I don't have to think about, riding the touchdown variance wave on like Goddard or Ferguson. I can just know that it's going to be awesome. And probably those guys will outproduce Trey McBride.
I don't know about outproduce Trey McBride, but I will say I am the biggest Loveland fan in the entire world. Like, through all my shitty podcasting.
If you're the biggest Loveland fan, then you would absolutely say he's going to outproduce Trey McBride.
Maybe it's not. Again,
I mean, think about their situation, right? Okay, so they've got an ascending, mega prolific quarterback, a quarterback that many believe, including Cody, can be the passing yards leader in the NFL.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he goes over 4,000, man.
Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
You don't think he's going to go over 4,000 yards?
Hasn't done it yet.
But he's on a trajectory. You can see that. That's what I'm saying. There's a trajectory there. Trey McBride can only go down from here. But in his third year in the league with stability, I love the stability. I love the same offensive coordinator. I don't put a lot of stock in offensive coordinators or systems, as you know, but I do put stock in continuity with the offensive line. Oh, they just signed Darnell Wright to a long-term extension at left tackle. I love that. Oh, baby, do I love that. Right? I love that they have, in terms of Loveland is the best blocking move tight end in the league. And then you have Kmet in 12 personnel. It's you can't get to Caleb Williams in that case. And then they only have the 2 wide receivers, and those 2 wide receivers are locked in. You know who they're going to be. You always know who's going to be out there in 12 personnel. You always know who's going to be out there in 11 personnel.
Khalif Raymond.
Yeah, there's no rotation. Like, it's just, it's very solid. No, you just know they're not coming off the field. Odunze and Burden are not coming off the field, and neither is Loveland. And look, because Loveland's a proper 2-way tight end. He's a great blocker, right? Because we have Dan Fornick. He does our tight end rankings. And, he's like, hey, like, the Colston Loveland is an incredible blocker, even at this young age, which is really impressive. And it just increases his ceiling. It just means he's going to have a higher snap share and more opportunities to catch touchdowns. And so you go like, okay, so this is actually a pretty consolidated target share. When you actually think about it, you've got Odunze playing the Harrison role. You've got Burden playing the Michael Wilson role. And you've got no third receiver of consequence. Same in Arizona. Same in Chicago. Right? You've got a proper X and a proper Z. And then you've got a proper 2-way tight end. So the whole offense is set up the same, except Arizona has a better pass catcher out of the backfield. which will compete with tight end targets, command some tight end targets. Jeremiah Love.
And it's a better offense and with the Bears. I get you. And
Hold on.
12 targets a game for Loveland over his last 4 games, right?
Hold on. So I'm setting it all up. Okay. So even if these were equivalent offenses, the situation is a little bit better for Loveland in that he doesn't have to compete with Jeremiah Love. Now, make the quarterback Caleb Williams and make the other quarterback Jacoby Brissett.
Dude, Brissett can sling it, dude. He is fantasy gold. He's 2026's Jameson. Winston. There you go. He's 2026 Jameis Winston. Doesn't mean you're going to win the game. It means they're going to throw it 40 times because they're losing. And
you absolutely need to go to Vegas and bet the over on the Cardinals.
No, I do not.
You should. From everything I'm hearing, you have a completely different view of the Cardinals than I do.
Well, maybe, because these LaFleur bros, they know a thing or two about how to get something out of the offense. I think it'll be a better offense than it was last year. I think they'll still be losing a lot of games, playing from behind, throwing the ball a ton. Brissett has just changed. He was a guy who couldn't throw the ball 5 yards down the field a few years ago. Now he just throws it without care. Like I said, like a Jameis Winston does. So I think it's more, to me, that even if I adjust down 20% of what Trey McBride did last year, and then you almost double what Loveland did, they're similar, right? Now, the case for Loveland is that the way he finished and the way they used him in the playoffs is the way that they're going to use him all of 2026. If that's the case, we're talking about a guy who should be in the same conversation as Brock Bowers, and that's who I had kind of as his comp coming out, is a guy who is just does it all, almost more of a receiver than a tight end, truly, but to your point, Loveland can block. I was the first guy on Player Profiler during the draft last year. I said he will be the first tight end taken, and there were 7-1 odds at that point because everyone etched it in stone. It was going to be Tyler Warren, right? But when you get a guy like Ben Johnson who goes and picks him ahead of Tyler Warren, I never had a doubt in my mind that Colson Loveland is going to be a top 2 or 3 tight end in this league for the next 10 or 15 years, man.
So your mic was working when you made that prediction?
I actually put it in writing, and we made a graphic out of it, and we posted it before the draft. Mm-hmm. So I'm not just making this crap up. And yeah, all my shitty mic shows before, you go back a year, when I'm talking about this rookie class, not a single show did I not get on a freaking podium and talk about Colson Loveland for 5 to 10 minutes. And even when he had a slow start to his rookie year, you know what I was doing? I was buying him everywhere, right? I traded him. This one actually kind of came out as a wash a little bit, but it was a full point tight end premium league. I traded him straight up for Chris Olave. Now, Chris Olave had a great end of the season, all that, but I mean, in a full point tight end premium league, I'm still taking Loveland. So I think I actually got a little on top too.
We have an awesome article up on the site from Dylan Fitzgerald about prediction markets and how to leverage prediction markets. So check it out. And there's links to sign up on Kalshi, also Polymarket, also Novig, and get some deposit bonuses and all that good stuff. Also, Fast Draft. We just launched a reload bonus. So when you go to Fast Draft, the rabbit is rocking now. August, the switch flipped, and these drafts are happening fast and furious. So go to Fast Draft, and you can play in a 15-round best ball. It's just much more straightforward format, faster, easier, and there's a lot of exploitable ADPs. You probably can talk about a couple of exploitable ADPs there on Fast Draft. In the rabbit specifically, maybe you're drafting Cyrus Allen around 15. Yeah, he's not being drafted very much in the rabbit, if at all.
Not at all.
I don't think that's probably a little bit aggressive for him, but there's a lot of great choices in the final couple rounds where it's things have moved based on the news. Then you can take advantage. And again, the code for anyone that wants to redeposit, if you've already deposited, great. deposit again with code RELOAD, and you get at least a $10 match. You get $10 if you do that. That's courtesy of me. You're welcome. And then we also have the prediction markets promo up on Player Profiler. If there is a prediction market, if anyone can find the prediction, I will take it, because it's a long shot prediction. But that the top 4 tight ends finish Bowers, Warren, Loveland, McBride. I'm not predicting that to be what happens, but I think that the odds of that happening are higher than I believe the market would have them set at.
You make some serious money. Couple quick ones on the Rabbit. You've got Jadarian Price at a 90.2 ADP. Absolutely deep. You've got Bishal Tootin at a 74.9. David Montgomery at 82.8 ADP.
That's my favorite one. The Montgomery ADP is my favorite.
Some of these are absolutely insane.
If I could draft, I'd be getting Montgomery in every league.
I have in the Rabbit, I've got 28% Montgomery exposure. One I missed. DJ Moore, 85.7 ADP on the Rabbit. He's going in 40 on DraftKings. 23% exposure there. Again, I'm way overweight on Jadarian Price. I think I've got like 30 or 40% of him, just because when every other app you're drafting on has these guys going in the 4th and 5th round, that's plus EV, right, for you guys to take advantage of. So it's absolutely my favorite format to draft in right now, because it feels like Ricky Pearsall's going in every draft still, right? So take advantage of some of those moves and some of those ADPs. I'm not giving any more away because I got some money to win myself. But I want to talk about one guy, one thought I have. I think it's as hot as some of the takes you've offered. I think that Stephon Diggs is the best wide receiver on the Commanders right now. I think Terry McLaurin is sneakily almost 31 years old. So there's not this big, one guy is
What does that mean?
young.
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean sneakily? What does that mean?
Like, I think people still think he's like in the prime of his life is kind of what it means.
You think that? Who have you talked to that thinks he's in his prime?
30.9. I don't know, man. It just caught me.
I don't know. So this is just a Johnny narrative. This is a
Johnny narrative.
You pulled this out of the sky. This is based on nothing. Just want to make sure people know that.
Well, I'm just saying he's not even that much younger than like Devontae Adams, right? Like, or there a couple of these guys he's a few years younger than.
Well, the difference between a 29, 30-year-old wide receiver and 32, 33 is huge. You're talking about the last great season a guy can put together, like an Andre Johnson, where when he's 33, he's on the Titans and he's giving you 400 yards. So it can be a huge difference for a wide receiver, but not typically a guy like Stephon Diggs. A guy like Stephon Diggs who wins with finesse and technical skills, they have a longer career. So yeah, he's 32, but Stephon Diggs, I mean, we instantly, put him way up, even in Dynasty. I was after I plugged in the projections, I was excited to see what the lifetime value engine, where it would peg Stephon Diggs, and it had him ahead of Cyrus Allen. Shocking.
Just barely.
No. It instantly had him ahead of Cyrus Allen, ahead of Tank Dell, Travis Hunter, Debo, Antonio Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Romeo Dobbs, all those guys. Like, shot him right ahead of all those guys. And he's 32. I mean, this is Dynasty, right? I mean, he's right there with Khalil Shakir. And it makes sense. He and Khalil Shakir will probably have similar seasons this year. He'll probably outproduce Khalil Shakir.
Khalil
Shakir's quite a bit younger. But yeah, I mean, he could outproduce Quentin Johnston. Why wouldn't he outproduce Quentin Johnston? He could have a season like a Rashid Shaheed. I think those are all very, very much in his range of outcomes. Look at the advanced stats on Stephon Diggs last year. Did you see this? If you go to Player Profiler, he was number 5 in explosive play rating. Number 5 in explosive play rating. Look at that.
We love it. That's my point, man. I think he's got the most juice. He's going to be an underneath target. He's the player to own. I think he'll outproduce Terry McLaurin, is my point.
Well, that's not going to happen. Terry McLaurin has been in camp Terry McLaurin's been the established alpha there. Terry McLaurin is in the final year, I would say, of his prime. And yeah, every year after this, he's going to be ticking down. But as long as you take care of your body, your strength and conditioning, and Terry McLaurin has been a sports car with no injuries. That's why sometimes when people say something like, this guy is sneaky old, right? Or he's sneaky dusty, right? Typically that's because there's been a lot of lower body injuries. And even though the guy's 29, he really plays like a 31-year-old. That's the one concern you have with a guy like AJ Brown. Like he's 28 going on 32.
Yeah, with
like
2 bad knees.
That is the concern. But you don't have that concern with Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's been tip top. He's been playing 17 games every year, no health issues. Came into the NFL a little bit later than most wide receivers. 3rd round pick, wasn't an early declare, wasn't chewed up in college even. Right? He was lightly used in college. So to me, he's not a guy that is going to age poorly. I think he and Diggs will both age well, which is part of the problem. Certainly, Antonio Williams is going to need an injury to do anything this year. And then even next year, he's going to be looking at a Terry McLaurin who is in great shape and is going to be producing at a high level even next year. So then when are we really going to get, especially with a mobile quarterback, what is the it's like with Jacoby Lane and Antonio Williams, to me, have very similar problems in that they're years away from potentially ever being the number one. Jacoby Lane will never be. Antonio Williams could theoretically be that guy in like 3 or 4 years. But at that point, we'll even be in Washington. It's like, well, what are we even doing here? Why do we even care? Right? These are mobile quarterbacks who are going to lock in on their number one wide receiver, their tight end, and they might check it down to a running back, maybe, probably not. Wide receiver twos tethered to mobile quarterbacks are dead. I mean, it's a death sentence.
Are you saying that for Diggs? That's what I'm hearing? Because he'd be the wide receiver too?
No, for Antonio Williams.
Okay.
Because Diggs is the 1B.
Right. That's kind of my point.
Right. There's the 1B. There's always 2 guys that can get fed in those offenses. The big question is going to be, who does Jaden Daniels prefer? Is it Chig as the number 2 option or Diggs? And obviously it's Diggs. So who was the most impacted by this signing? It was not actually Antonio Williams. What I'm telling you is it was Chig.
Yeah, and Chig, positive for Jaden Daniels, sneaky as well.
I think that I was a little bit floored. There was when we updated projections based on everything that's happened in the last couple of days. That was the one guy where I was a little bit floored with how far he fell. Yeah. Was Chigokongwu, because I love Chigokongwu, and there's certainly some elements of his profile that can prop him up in Dynasty, but there's no propping him up in seasonal leagues, even in tight end premium. Like, he's pretty dead now. He's pretty dead. But you can't say that a Jacoby Lane or an Elijah Surratt is going to supplant Mark Andrews in the target pecking order. No one's saying that. Just like no one was saying Antonio Williams is going to supplant Okonkwo. Everyone was like pretty locked. We were all in lockstep. Hey, man, Okonkwo's the second best wide receiver in this team. Really? And now the Diggs is there. Whoever is the third option. Usually I say wide receiver 2 because typically there's either a target magnet running back or a tight end that commands a bunch of targets. And so if you're the second receiver, you have to be quite good in order to produce with a mobile quarterback. Diggs is good enough to be the 1B. No way Jacoby Lane is that. no way Antonio Williams is that. There's just no way. So, I mean, I mean, Antonio Williams is a sell low, much in the way that Jacoby Lane is a sell high. They're on like a collision course. In fact, if we go to the Dynasty rankings, I bet they're very close.
Absolute nuts landing spot for Stephon Diggs. Couldn't have been a better spot. I think it was talked about all offseason. And this guy has so much dog in him. Like getting to see him at the Super Bowl and interview him, he kind of puts you on edge a little bit because he's just so intense. And he talked for 5 or 10 minutes about what his legacy means to him, wanting to be a Hall of Famer. That's the kind of guy I want to hitch my wagon to, who I think can have one or two more really strong years. So I'm in on Diggs this year, man. I'm excited about it. I think it's a great spot. I think he's that Hall of Fame type player. To that point, McDaniel's offense, one of the comments we got, picking it up in year one last year, being a leader on that Patriots team. I think he's got a bit of a negative persona about him, but he is just all ball, and he really wants to leave a legacy. That was the biggest thing I picked up from listening to him. So I like that kind of guy. I'm happy to hitch my wagon to that. I want to close it out with you and talk through one potential, just like we knew that Stephon Diggs was going to be a Commander. It was only a matter of time. I am telling you now, we know Keenan Allen is going to be an Indianapolis Colt. It's only a matter of time. In that scenario, you are the king of the Josh Downs fan club. Keenan Allen's going to take valuable targets out of that slot. He's going to maybe even eat into Tyler Warren, who you're high on. I think this could be a major thorn in your side for those Colts projections for those two players. What do you think about that?
Keenan Allen's dust. I'm not worried about
I knew
Keenan
you were going to say something like that.
I'm not worried about Keenan Allen. I'm not worried about Najee Harris. Get out of here. It's over. Like, it's very much over. Keenan Allen's another guy that, like, he's sneaky old. Like
it's not sneaky. That one's not sneaky. That's my point.
Right. He's not, he has been largely healthy, but he's had a lot of lower body injuries. That's what I'm saying. No, I'm not talking about how he looks. Yes, he looks like he's 70. Yes. Yes, he looks like in the Odyssey before he pulls the bow back, spoiler alert. Matt Damon is dressed as a beggar, and so yes, he could be that character in the Odyssey for sure. That would be Keenan Allen would play that character. He'd be great. He'd be great as the lead in the Odyssey for sure. Keenan Allen, I'm a fan of that. But he's not. I mean, I know he's capable of having a game here and there, but no, like if he signed with the Bears, would you be worried for Luther Burden?
You don't want to hear my answer. I heard someone talking about what Khalif Raymond could mean for the Bears.
Okay. Josh Downs is awesome. Josh Downs is the intermediate separator that Keenan Allen was in his prime. Like that I think that Josh Downs and Luther Burden could have similar seasons, or that Josh Downs, because this was posted on Twitter that I said this. I was quoted saying Josh Downs could easily outproduce Luther Burden, and I'm like, duh. Like it would be one thing maybe if Adunze was missing all of camp with an ankle injury and was going to go on PUP, then okay, no way. But that's not. One guy has Burden. Burden has Loveland. Downs has Warren. Okay, that cancels. And then Downs has Doolin. And Burden has Adunze. Like, okay, where do you think all the targets are going? And who actually is a better skill match? What does Caleb Williams like to do? Does Caleb Williams like to stay in the middle of the field, or does he like to go aggressive to the perimeter?
Well, he's not very good at it. He has one of the largest inaccurate throws downfield rates in the NFL.
Right, but does he push the ball? Does he throw there? Is there a? Does he? He is of the. he is of the school of you miss all the shots you don't take, right?
Yeah, but Ben Johnson's not.
Oh my God. Enough. I really, honestly, I want to have like a dog collar for all these podcast hosts. Let us know in the chat. Should all podcast hosts on Player Profiler, when they say some baseless coach nonsense,
Baseless.
no. Do you think Ben Johnson, they turn the headset off? Did you know this? Maybe you don't know this. As a former equipment manager, I'll tell you how this works. They turn the headset off, so Ben Johnson is not like playing a video game telling him what to do during the play. He does whatever the fuck he wants. You know that, right? Do you know that? I love
man.
how people that have never played professional sports think that the coach has all this power to affect what happens on any given play, and they don't. Like, it's so silly. It's actually, if you even think it through, it's so silly to think that he's going to influence what Caleb Williams is going to do, right, from the sideline. He's not. If Caleb Williams turns around and sees Rome Odunze has a crevice, has a crease of light between him, just any daylight whatsoever, just a little blue sky between him and the defender, you think he's not going to turn it loose because something that some coach that he probably only barely respects said in a meeting once? Do you really think that? Or do you think he's wired a certain way and he's going to play the way he plays? Like, it's just so silly to think that, coach told me not to make this throw. That's who he is. Everyone knows that's who he is. That's who they drafted. They drafted that guy. That's what he's always been. No, Ben Johnson finally got through to him this year in the offseason. Maybe not last year, but this year, I know. They had that one whiteboard session. I'm sure he reprogrammed the guy. No, that's not how sports works. It's just so weird to keep attributing everything to Ben Johnson. It's like, enough. It's not helpful, and it's not predictive of anything. So the bottom line is, when Caleb Williams drops back, his first priority is pushing the ball down the field. And then he will relent. He will compromise and dump it off if he has to. Daniel Jones has the opposite mentality. Daniel Jones is ready to dump it off at any time. And if it just so happens that the moon and the stars align, he will launch it downfield. Do you agree with that or disagree with that assessment of those two quarterbacks?
I think you're underplaying the fact that, yeah, he can do what he wants on any given play, but he's going to get reamed and he's going to get told to do something.
Oh, he's going to get
different.
reamed. Then what? They're going to go to Badgent? They're going to take his
No,
money
I agree
away?
with you, but you
what
can't
are you
just
even
be
saying?
What you're saying is almost like you tell your
maddening.
kid to go off and you have no
to.
control.
He's going to get reamed. You said that? You said reamed? He's going to get reamed if he throws it deep.
You've raised a beautiful daughter, right? Hear me out. You've raised a beautiful daughter. She's smart. She's independent. She thinks for herself based on what you've told me.
Thank you with the telepathy. Technically has telepathy.
Yes.
Throw
but
it to
that's
Bird.
the point.
It's telepathy.
That's the point I'm making. When your daughter goes over to a sleepover, she doesn't just start acting like an idiot. She learned what you told her and how to act and how to be a good person. He is getting fathered.
First of all, that actually is, to be for someone who thinks that like Ben Johnson is this godlike figure who has telepathy. He's like the leader of the X-Men. It's just so silly. It's really stupid. Like it is the thing that it maddens me to such a degree. It's infuriating. And like Pete makes fun of me because I make fun of him for it. And he thinks it's a bit, and it is a bit to a degree, just like this is a bit to a degree, but it is just so tiring to like hear that, because it's not helpful in any way, but it's also just not correct because they're going to go ahead and fire him in a couple of years if anything goes wrong. And it's not about him at all, actually. It's just about the players, and you just need to get over it. Like, there is some minor things these guys can do with the pace of play, and with certain personnel packages, like with McVay, certainly
the play calling. Like, what about when you draw up a play and you're like, this is your first read, this is your second read. Let me make this. It's like
all 32
you're
coaches
almost
don't
arguing
do that.
Liam Cohen didn't elevate Trevor Lawrence and that was just all Trevor Lawrence. No, he
Correct.
made the offense easier for him. He made it where this guy was able to put together a career year.
Wait. Do you have a diagram of what the complicated offense before Liam Cohen looked like, and then the new clean?
It's not even that it was complicated. Sometimes it's simplified, and the play
where
calls
is the
are
diagram?
just that
I want to
much
see the
better.
evidence of this. Where is the evidence of this, or is this just narrative?
Points per game. You watch
That's
the film.
not evidence.
You
That's
watch
correlation. That's not evidence.
It's like
That's
okay.
the correlate. It's every time I hear about a good coach, it's the good. All I ever see is good players on the team.
I don't know, man. Bucky Irving, he's all right. You know what I mean? But the way they drew up that run scheme, the way they drew up some of those plays to get him in space.
Scheme. I want to see the bad scheme. I've never seen this. If someone can show me what a good play looks like that a good coach draws up, and then the bad play, you know how they have like that diagram of the horse where it looks like a beautiful horse,
and then
the
other
back
half
of the horse
is not.
it looks like it was in crayon.
Yep.
I want to see that diagram, but the play. I want to see the incompetent coach that stinks, who was
Frank
the reason
Reich,
the offense
New York
sucked.
Jets.
Right, but I want to see the play. What was the play that was called that sucked? And then I want to see the clean, great, easy to execute.
Dude, I have one
upside
for
play.
you. I have a perfect example. There was one with the Bears before Ben Johnson came in. It was Eberflus, or it might have even been the interim coach. They drew up 2 screenplays in a row to Swift. And there are moments where there is just clearly bad play calling that happens. And
whoa. That you're just playing the result there, because I've seen this happen before where they actually go back to the same play, and because the defense didn't think they would call the same play again, the second one worked, and then the offensive coordinator's a genius.
Yeah, this was not that. That's my
point. You're just playing the result.
5
You're
yards.
not telling me that, oh no, this particular screenplay has the guard going left, but actually that offensive coordinator is an idiot. The guard should be going right. See, that's because the offensive coordinator is a dummy, but the good offensive coordinator knows the guard should go left here. And if you see this diagram, we can see this has the players going in the right direction because good offensive coordinator. This one has players going in this direction, bad offensive coordinator. That doesn't exist. Like, that's not a diagram. There's never any evidence. It's always playing the result. It's always correlation traps that are basically assigning credit to the coach that should rightfully go to the player. It happens all the time. It's usually, I usually give like a Stephen A. Smith, someone who's like a multi-sport blowhard, benefit of the doubt, because they don't even know the players they're talking about. They just know the coach's name, so they attribute the coach to the credit. And also, it's the whole waterfall of credit that the top equity holder gets to hold the trophy first. I think that's an embarrassment, right? I think the team captain should hold the trophy first. I think the team equity holder should hold it last. He did the least, except just have money. So that, to me, is an embarrassment, where they always give it to Kraft, and they always give it to some schmuck that had a bunch of real estate. Who fucking cares? Give it to the captain, and then they give it to their sub-captains, and then finally, after it's all, then the coach, then the last guy to hold it, maybe the equipment manager, and then the last guy would be the equity holder. They do it in reverse, where it's actually the guy that does the dirty work on special teams gets to hold it last. And I think that is just, that's all sports, though. That's not just the NFL. That's all sports. It's completely backwards. If it is truly a meritocracy, it's not. And who pays the bills? Who signs the media rights away? All these things. So why do you think that when we are tuning in to Hard Knocks, we have to listen to Mike McDonald for half the show say nothing? Why do we have to be exposed to that? When the guy with the cool truck, the middle linebacker, we don't get to hear anything he has to say except that he got into a fight. We know he fought, and we saw the fight. We didn't get to hear anything he had to say. He looked like a really interesting guy. Look at his truck. How is a guy with that truck a truck that's 30 feet high. How is he not interesting to talk to? How can we not hear him? Why are we only hearing the coach? It's just bad content. Like, I know it's like embarrassing and it's not a meritocracy. So philosophically, I disagree with it. But also at a deeper level or a simpler level, it's just bad content. It's just bad content. Just like you talking about the coach and attributing Ben Johnson as the reason is bad content, because you can't tell me a coach quality score where Shane Steichen is here and Ben Johnson is here, because
They're good. They're objectively good play
they're
callers.
not objectively good.
Matt Patricia,
it's not a
objectively a
thing.
bad offensive play caller. I love that one in the chat. Shane Waldron, like, we got to get
Matt
that guy as
Patricia
far.
is a defensive coordinator.
He was calling offensive plays at one point, I think.
Okay. So
And it didn't go very well,
coordinator's
right?
not good at calling offensive plays. Okay.
So, but the point stands,
what I
and your argument is invalid at that point, because there is the offensive play caller had an impact on the quality of the offense.
I didn't say incompetent coordinators can't exist. The offensive line coach of the Raiders was a nepotism hire. It was the son of Pete Carroll. No, it was the son of Pete Carroll.
Oh, okay.
Was hired, and then the offensive lineman or one of the assistant coaches had to intervene, and they had to bring in like a supplemental coach. So they had one meeting, and then when Pete Carroll's son would leave, they would bring in another coach, and then they had the real meeting because he was incompetent. That exists. Certainly, these exceptions that prove the rule exist, like Matt Patricia. Sure, there's incompetence in every line of work. But the I'm going to attribute 60% of the performance to the coach is going to be first to eat at the trough, is just wrong. It's not right. It's bad content. I'm telling you, it's bad content. It's not helpful. And everyone that's ever attributed all this stuff to the coach has always been proven wrong every time. Every time you wait a couple years, I'm just like, oh, this is the coach of today. Just wait 2 minutes. And then that guy will be like, oh, he'll be a punchline. I have heard the same person say the exact opposite about a coach 2 years later. Because why? He started coaching a bad team and he was coaching a good team before. And that's almost always what it is. And look at the players that are on this Bears team. Okay. And look at the players that he had with it. Also, not just the players, but it overall top-down organizational willingness, like with Dan Campbell, to play fast. That also helps the offensive coordinator, makes them look a lot better. So I would attribute more to the head coach. The head coach actually has more impact because the head coach can dictate, push down the organization, how we're going to play, what our culture is going to be. And in particular, the thing that actually impacts fantasy, which then does ultimately get minorly affected by the offensive coordinator, is the pace of play and the pass to run ratio. And that's philosophical and that's tactical, right? And so that's where I'm like, hey, you keep telling me Mike McDaniel's a genius, but he plays slow. So is he a genius? He was really bad and was fired. And then, but because he has glasses and he says the right things and he's clever or whatever it is, and he's been in the league already and he's an established guy, then he is first in line for the next job because it's much less risky than taking a new guy. And then where does he land? He lands on a team with the two best tackles, the best tackle play in the league, one of the best quarterbacks, good receivers, and a great backfield with a first-round pick running back and 3 athletic tight ends. And you think that offense isn't going to be successful? And do you think that Mike McDaniel is going to get the credit? Or do you think it's all going to go to the players? Or do you think a lot of it's going to go to Mike McDaniel this year? When anyone could coach that team. I could coach that team, and they would put up very similar numbers.
I don't know, he didn't get the credit. Remember, a good example because you.
Of course, it's a good
example.
It's every example. It's every fucking time, Johnny. Because he's not blamed for what happened in Miami. The offense wasn't his fault because there was injuries and Tyreek Hill got hurt, and the front office betrayed him, and he landed on his feet. That always happens. They never get blamed for what happened in Miami. even though he did play slow last time I checked. And that's my one concern with them is I'm hoping they play faster, but that's going to be mostly Justin Herbert getting in and out of the huddle and playing fast. That's the thing. It doesn't fucking matter, John. It doesn't matter what Mike McDaniel says in a meeting room or even in his headset seconds earlier. If he wants to get to the huddle,
up the play, you know what I mean? You give the play.
No, what
like
matters?
They are.
No,
you know what I
that's
mean?
not
If you
true.
give me a shit play and
I
I'm
don't
forced to
think-
run it, you're going to get a shit result.
That's not how the NFL works. Do you not know how? Have you watched games? You know
No,
that as soon
never.
as you're in the league for a couple of years and you establish trust, especially you establish like a $300 million contract, you get to call your own plays. You get to option out of plays. It's called an audible. Do you know what an
The
audible
good
is?
QBs, right? The Bradys, the Mannings, of course. But I think a lot of these QBs are neutered nowadays where they are just
not true.
doing what the coach calls. They maybe
No.
have one creative,
What?
they have one audible
No,
they can kill
have run
to as
pass
opposed
options.
to diagnosing
Go
the
into
actual
a huddle.
defense.
They go into a huddle with an option, and then they go up to the line of scrimmage with an option to get out of it. Of
Right.
course.
Right.
You don't. This is most quarterbacks. You think that most quarterbacks don't have the ability to audible? Is that what you
No,
said?
I think that some just either A, aren't that good at reading the defenses and moving to the audible. B, again, when you're a more developed quarterback, that you'd move from having one option to like 3 to 5, or you just call whatever play you want at the line of scrimmage, right? And that's something that Brady did amazing.
Okay.
Manning did amazing. I can't name more than one or two quarterbacks who I think can do that in 2026. I think all these young guys like Herbert, Lawrence, they're great, but they're getting a play call. They've got an option they can audible to. And that's really the extent of, the impact that they have on the pre-call. That's my understanding.
That's all they have two plays. They option out of a play to another play. They go from blue to green. That's how it works, or whatever it is. That's how it works. That's what an audible is. They don't call the whole play at the huddle. That's not how it works. They don't call the whole play at the line of scrimmage. They option in and out of things. You don't think that so you agree Justin Herbert's going to have the ability to audible. You agree he will audible?
Yes. Yeah, all of them do. Are some better at moving into those than others?
Who's
and I
the
think that's
best
the sign of a
audibler?
good quarterback.
Who's the best audibler?
In the NFL today?
Rank all the audiblers. You can't.
I think Stafford's up there.
Of course, he's.
I would say Goff actually has some of that cerebralness in terms of.
Most of them do. It's just the young guys are less
I'm not
likely.
throwing Caleb Williams out there to make any crazy audibles at this point. Is my point. I think Ben Johnson's like, you're calling what I'm telling you to run.
Where did you get that? You don't think he's going to be audibling? You think?
I think if he's audibling, he's audibling to another play that Ben Johnson gave him, and it's less about, hey,
so good. You think Ben Johnson's so good that he doesn't need to audible, that no matter what look the defense gives him, the play he gave Caleb Williams is uncheck outable because his play is so genius?
I think it would be checking out to another play I called. Yeah, that he called.
But that's what audibles are.
Right. But it's not that Williams didn't really have a lot of say in it, is my point.
Where did you find this out? Where did you read this? How do you know this? You don't know. You don't know. You just think Ben Johnson's God for no reason, and you don't want to give Caleb Williams any credit for being cerebral.
No, he's a backyard player.
He's a backyard player. He's not cerebral. This is just such an insult to Caleb Williams. No, Caleb Williams is going into his third year. And when you're going into your third year, what you've done is you've built the trust of the coaching staff and your teammates that you can now audible at a higher rate because you're more confident in what you see. So I absolutely expect Caleb Williams to audible more this year than he did last year, when he audibled more last year than he did the previous year. And then at some point by year 4 or 5, most of these guys, if they're still in the league and they're still starting quarterbacks and they've commanded a second contract, they're going to be audibling at a league average rate. And it's going to, and a lot of times it's a pretty high rate because you check in at the line of scrimmage. You see what the defense is presenting to you, and you want to put your team in the best possible position to be a matchup nightmare for whatever defense you're looking at. That's how it works. None of that is you have to understand, at that point, it's all about the quarterback. The quarterback's getting paid $300 million. The offensive coordinator is getting paid $2 million. That's how economics works. The thing that matters is the thing that's getting all the money. The driver of the production, the reason why they're winning, is the quarterback, number one, and a lot of their supporting cast. The guy talking to him and relaying something in a helmet, a couple options that he could use, that is shut off. 25 seconds, it's shut off. He goes to the line of scrimmage. He's on his own. There's no one in his helmet telling him, oh, they're showing this look. You need to check out of this and go to this.
Right.
You have to. Did you know that the radio was turned off in the helmet?
Yeah, of course. And
know
that's
that.
my point. For these newer rookies, they're like, don't go rogue on me and walk up to that line and think you know what you're doing. You're calling A or B that I give you in the headset. And if you move off of that, we're like, again, that's to your point. They're not going to bench him for Bagent, but it's just not. That's not. You don't not do what you're told when you're a professional. You know, consistently. Like, yeah, maybe you do it one play. I think of like Bo Nix audibling out of something that Sean Payton didn't like. They got in a screaming match on the sideline. That was actually a really cool moment, right? Where you're like, okay, Bo Nix is willing to stand up and say, hey, I saw this. I'm calling this. This is why I did it.
Did you think that was good by Bo Nix? That was good leadership? Because he's a young quarterback, second-year quarterback doing that.
I think it was exactly why Russell Wilson and Sean Payton didn't get along, because Russell's kind of a cuck, right? And you do need a quarterback who, it's just like in any job you have in your life.
I don't understand.
Nobody wants a boss.
But if you're Mr. Offensive Coordinator and offensive coordinator is the reason, then they should never do that.
Right. And that's why Peyton got so freaking pissed. But then
they're checking out of the Bible. They were given these are the slabs of rock stone from the mountain from the offensive coordinator. You can't. No, these are suggestions. They're merely suggestions. And when Caleb Williams gets up to the line of scrimmage, he's going to check in and out of what he wants. And that's the way it's going to be. And that's the way you want it, because he's the one that actually sees the whole thing. You don't see the whole thing from where Ben Johnson's standing. And he's also played the game at the quarterback position in a way none of these coaches have. So they can give suggestions. They can say, this sounds like a good play, but ultimately they're going to live and die with the quarterback and the decisions they make in the huddle, at the line of scrimmage, and then all the plays these guys make. These coordinators are just giving them suggestions. That's all they're doing. Okay. And certainly if you're an above average coordinator, you want to give them some innovative suggestions, like McVay giving Stafford suggestions about 13 personnel inside the 5. Smart. Very good. One of those things that is hard evidence. This is what I'm asking for, Johnny, and you won't give it to me because you don't have it on Ben Johnson. You got nothing. Okay. There is hard. No, you don't. You have nothing. You have nothing. You have narrative only, and it's very frustrating. There is actual hard evidence that Sean McVay suggested 13 personnel inside the 5-yard line as an advantage, and they talked about it a lot in meeting rooms, and they called those plays, and they had an incredibly high touchdown rate with those 13 personnel plays. That is the evidence. I have seen so little of that. That is all I needed. Like, I'm an easy date, right? I'm easy, dude. Give me something. Give me anything I can hold on to that's tangible. And I have that with Sean McVay. I've got that with like 1 or 2 coaches ever. Have I gotten that? You've given me nothing. Okay? You've given me rookies are able to call audibles at a lower frequency.
Facts.
No
Yeah.
kidding. But you didn't give me what was the play that which play was better, the one that Bo Nix wanted to run or the one that Sean Payton wanted to run, and why? No one can answer that question because the evidence doesn't exist. But there is actual hard evidence. There's only one. I mean, the one coach that I had the most hard evidence who is merely above average is Sean McVay because of that one case study. You don't have any case studies at all. And no one can tell me the percentage that Sean McVay is superior to the next coach. No one has that measurement system. I know you certainly don't by this because we've been talking about this for 30 minutes and I've got nothing. This is basically the second half of this show is like the first episode of this season of Hard Knocks. We came in with high expectations, but the audience have been left with nothing. Absolutely nothing. Where is this evidence that Ben Johnson is a genius and he's going to be the reason that Chicago unlocks all this fantasy potential? Nothing. Right? We got nothing. I was hoping for some content that would engage me, that I would feel some connection with the people in the Seattle Seahawks organization. HBO gave me nothing. Should be ashamed of themselves. You should be ashamed of yourself too.
I'm not ashamed of myself. We gave the viewers, we poured our soul out, dude, for over 2 hours. We hope you guys enjoyed the show.
Did you know we actually gained viewers during the stream?
What does that mean?
Somehow.
Good.
See, here we go. Oh, wait. Donnie Sylvester. Here, this is perfect. Donnie Sylvester says McDaniel's offense got figured out by the end of the year in Miami. No, it didn't. It's just they had no players. They had Tua under center and they had no receivers left. But anyway, go ahead and think it got figured out. Okay. I'm not even an apologist of Mike McDaniel. It's just that they're just so whimsical about who's an idiot and who's super smart. And it's mostly they're all pretty average and they don't matter. Adaptability is what separates good coaches. Oh, his adaptability. I want to go to I want someone to put coach.com and I can go see the adaptability metric because I'm sure Donnie Sylvester is quoting some adaptability metric and there's a ranking system of all the adaptability. And or that's just a feeling that he has. That's just something about Mike McDaniel. He's not that adaptable. Right? If I were Mike McDaniel and I had the offense that I had, I would have tried to play fast. But the problem is, if your quarterback's Quinn Ewers, he's not fast at processing information. He actually needs to spend more time in the huddle communicating the play. He needs to spend more time at the line of scrimmage figuring out what the defense wants to do to him and how he's going to try to run away. So how can you play fast in that situation? And yet there are some people that are fading Mike McDaniel this year because they're afraid he doesn't play fast enough. When all roads lead back to the personnel.
There you go. Well, thank you guys for watching.
Oh, but make no mistake. Donnie is going to be wrong because 5 weeks into the season, Mike McDaniel's already going to be fielding head coaching offers. He is going to be comeback coach of the year, if that's even a thing. But he is going to be the reason for their unlocking. And the thing that gets me is the gaslighting that happens where even Justin Herbert is going to say it. And that's the thing that you're going to hold on to. You're going to be like, well, Justin Herbert even admitted. All right. When any coach, they would have, because their tackles were healthy. That was the real reason. But that's not that interesting. And it's hard to identify with those tackles. They don't look like us. They're 300 pounds and they're super athletic. But I look a lot more like Mike McDaniel than I do Rashawn Slater. So I'd much rather hear about Mike McDaniel.
Give us your Super Bowl prediction.
Chargers 54, Rams 3.